Hey guys, welcome to the Neglected Podcast. This podcast is not to change your mind, but to invite you into somebody else's narrative. This is a podcast to give a voice to the neglected. It is also an opportunity for all of us to engage.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Neglected Podcast. My name is Nick Schultz. You can hit me up at Schultzy Time. We are at For the Neglected. We are here filming the City Church, and producer Quinn's over there. Thank you for being here, Quinn. And we are here with a very special guest named Abdul. Abdul, how are you doing today?
Good, Nick. Thank you for having me over here and just making it.
Yeah, I understand. Abdul and I are friends, and we have mutual friends, and we became friends over a year ago, I believe. And just reached out to you because you are from Afghanistan, and there is a lot going on right now with Afghanistan that I want people to hear personally from someone who has helped our country, has been over there when the Taliban was over there, has been a refugee, has come over here and has family over there. You have so much ties to Afghanistan and America and our military, and have a lot of family investment in it and personal feelings towards what's going on. And we just wanted a firsthand account to share with our viewers of, you know, how this is playing out and how it's affecting a real life person. So thank you for being willing to come in and share.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I do appreciate that. Thank you for giving me any space to share my story with you guys, with your listener and your viewers. Almost, we have so close relation with the United States. It's been 20 years that the United States been in Afghanistan, and the day the United States came in Afghanistan was the main goal to bring peace, to get the government, a stable government, in order to provide a better life for the Afghan peoples or the Afghan societies. Unfortunately, as you can see right now, it's going on the direction that nobody want to expect it to go, and government collapsed so quickly and put a lot of people's life in jeopardy and danger, especially for those who work with the United States like me, for those who been a linguistic interpreter, helped every U.S. organization in Afghanistan. Right now they are on the hard water. As we go through, it makes kinds of situation that nobody was ready for and no one was expected for. U.S. government been in Afghanistan for 20 years. There was millions of people who helped the United States through different programs, such as being a linguistic interpreter, security guard for the U.S. bases all over the country, logistics who can provide food, water, and supply for the United States Army over there. Most of the people who helped the United States, now they are, according to Taliban, named them traitor or a spy, that they sold their country and helped the United States, which was the great thing that they did it, because every aim, every hope, especially your freedom, they need sacrifice. The people who helped the United States, their main things was that they should make the country stable, that their future generation shouldn't have any worry for going to school tomorrow. The human rights should be secured and the woman rights should be secured over there. None of them are like, none of those guys or none of the allies who help the United States and cooperate with the United States shoulder by shoulder over there. They are proud of their work, what they did, but unfortunately the way now it's ending is a big confusion, and everybody is scared of their lives. The Taliban they don't like them at all, according to their rules, according to their laws, according to their views. They are traitor, and you guys know what's the life going to be for the traitor according to Taliban's law.
Yeah, let's take it back a couple, well, not a couple, but a few years. You were a refugee that you had to get out of Afghanistan at one time because of your involvement with helping the U.S. military. And if you were still there now, you would be considered, well, you're saying now, a traitor. And so you are here safe, but you also know a lot of people that aren't safe. So how do you deal with that right now, knowing that I took a long, dangerous route to get here myself, and maybe you can share a little bit about that, but there's a lot of people who are still there that didn't get to do what I am able to do right now.
That's true, Nick. Yeah, I worked with the United States Army. I worked with the company. I don't want to mention the name of the company, which was an army branch. I worked with, especially with infantry guys over there in Kandahar, Afghanistan. It was a dangerous situation for every interpreter, for every translator who were behind the army and helped them like there. We were the air and we were the eyes of every U.S. military in Afghanistan because we know where the area is and we know how to speak and make a communication between the local people are living over there and with the United States Army. For me, it was a hard situation, but there was no way that I should stay in Afghanistan. They were trying to capture me 2 times. They threatened my family. My brother, who I was living with him, we had the same house as a double studio. First floor was me, and the second floor they were living over there. 2 times they received a letter from Taliban that I should stop working with the United States, otherwise I'm gonna lose my life. But I never listened to them. They tried to capture me 2 times while I was going on the way home from Kandahar. The base name was Fab Pasab, which we were working over there. One day I took a taxi from there, came to Kandahar city, then changed my taxi, took another taxi while going back to Helmand province. And the first taxi which I took from the base, they've been stopped on the way by Taliban and searched for me. I was not in the same taxi. I took another one. And every time I see those nightmares and those horrible situations that we were been through, then I decided to leave the country. I took a route to Quetta, Pakistan, which had a border with Spin Boldak. They call it in English Spin B. There was a basis of United States Army too. It has a border with Pakistan. I came through that border to Quetta, Pakistan, in order to be safer in Kabul. I had a chance to go through the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, but I was scared. If I go to Kabul, I may stay in Kabul in order to get my visa processed and stuff. It may take a longer time. That's why I took the route, came in to Quetta, Pakistan, in order to apply for the UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for the Refugees. I went to their office and I provide all my certificates, all my documentation, which I had with the United States Army, that I work with the United States Army. They forwarded all my requests to the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad, Pakistan, and it went through the Department of State. I got approved for my United visa to get into the United States. Fortunately, I made my way here in 2016, me and my wife, and I'm so glad at least I was the one among the 1,000 people who got fortunate to find my way through here. But unfortunately, still my family is over there, like my brother, my nieces, my nephews, all their lives are in jeopardy too. Taliban, I wish they could understand that according to them, if the crime is personal, it should be persecuted by a personal action, not for the family action. But unfortunately, they didn't realize it. They go behind every single family member of you, even if you are cousin. If you are the cousin of an interpreter who your cousin works for the United States, even they're gonna be in the danger because they are just taking one personal actions to the whole family and your relatives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit of what life was like pre, I guess, 9/11, growing up with the Taliban, either in the part of the country you lived, and what was that like before the attacks happened?
Life was horrible. Before 9/11, life was horrible because when you are living under the government, the Taliban are ruling on it, it's like you are dealing with the people that they don't have any idea and they don't want to listen any explanation from your side. They have their own rules. I remember those dark days that even my sister and all the girls were not able to go to school because according to the Taliban, women should not go to school. They have to sit at home and do their things at home. And we didn't have the joint classes. Before the Taliban, we had a joint class with the girls and boys. We were going to the same school. When Taliban took it over, the first thing they changed all our subject books, Like all the books that we had, all of them were in Pashto languages. Most of them were Islamic books instead of chemistry, science, biology, and stuff. All of them were like the different subject. Most of them were Islamic and Pashto languages. And the second thing we got from Taliban was that we have to put a turban on our head. That it should be our school uniforms. Nobody were allowed to wear jeans or T-shirts and stuff. All need to put clothes, which we call it perantamban, that everybody have to put a pajama for women's like that. Is perantamban they call it. And we had a turban on our head. And the life was horrible, honestly. The life was like things you cannot imagine. We were not had a TV. Before we had a TV, we had a radio. All the music and stuff got banned through the Taliban. Nobody were able to listen to music, even your TVs, and everybody have to go to mosque 5 times a day. When it was a time of the prayers, no matter what the emergency work was, you have to get on to go to the mosque and stay behind the Taliban's scholars to do your prayers. There was no freedom of religion, or there was no freedom of minority people who are living in Afghanistan. Like Afghanistan has different sects, different beliefs. Like they have Shia, Sunnis, they have Buddhism over there, even they have Hindu, which they are the native Afghanistan people too. But in the time of Taliban, none of them get respected. Mm-hmm. If you are different belief, doesn't matter, but you have to go to stay on the mosque 5 times a day whenever it's a time of prayer. And it was horrible, Nick. And we've been through a rough time before the 9/11 happens. Everybody were like desperate, and we had no choice rather to just be a follower. Mm-hmm. You had 2 choices. And the other worst thing from that time I remember, which was Usher. Usher was a kind of tax which the people need to give it to Taliban, no matter if your family don't have a food to eat and they are suffering from hunger, no matter what, but you have to pay your tax to the Taliban, which they call it Usher. Every time you need to pay that money. You have to find that money, whether you want to sell your home, whether you want to sell your car, whether you sell, because most of the people in Afghanistan, they are not like the middle class. We can see here in the United States, most of them are a gardener, most of them are working on their gardens or farms. They have small farms, mm-hmm. and they were not able to pay the Usher. Anybody who was not able to pay the Usher, they need to be beaten by Taliban, and they take them away for the long time prison, and nobody knows what happened.
Yeah. And we're filming this. We're really close to the anniversary of 9/11 right now. The 20-year anniversary, and incredible events that are happening. But 9/11 it's just such a crazy event and period of time, because what happened in our country, but also the results of what happened for your country too, because mm-hmm. of 9/11. It was such a horrible event, but for the people, your family and the people there, the freedom that ended up coming out of that when America came over to drive the Taliban out was such a unique experience from where it was beforehand. Can you kind of share about that turn of events in your country when 9/11 happened and America did come in and fight the Taliban off?
Yeah, Nick, by the 9/11 is a sad day. It's a mm-hmm. tragic day for the United States of America. I remember the day 9/11 happened. We were not able to saw the news because we didn't have a TV. My father had a small radio. The name was Casio, I think. He was just listening to that radio that they were saying that 9/11 happened to America, and there are dozens of people lost their lives over there. And the United States, when it came to Afghanistan to fight the terrorism, especially the Al-Qaeda, who are the partner with Taliban, and their base were in Kandahar, Afghanistan. We did not have any clue about what is 9/11 and where is the United States of America. Honestly, we never knew about America by the time we were in Afghanistan. And but it was a sad day, a tragic day for the United States of America and the Americans, people, my fellow Americans, that they had the worst day of their lives over here. But it was a great change for us that make the United States think about the terrorism, make them to came to Afghanistan to fight that terrorism. coming of the United States in Afghanistan was a huge change for all Afghans, people over there, especially for the women, for the minority groups, that we got a chance to came out to speak our voice, to go to school and get a higher education. Most of the universities that been closed, colleges by the Taliban, get reopened, and people were hoping that we're going through the democracy, when we're establishing a new government which is respect every sects of the people, every nationality of Afghanistan's rights and their fundamental rights to be respected through that government, and everybody were hopeful. The 9/11 brings us a huge hope. It was a great hope for us, that we can see the other side of the grass, and we can see the sunshine for a new day and a new life. Coming of the United States in Afghanistan was a great opportunity for everybody, that they have to get out of their homes and go to school and get a higher education and work around their lives, and without fear, without paying any extra tax for Taliban by the name of Usher. The women get the chance to came out to go to schools and become a doctors, and they can drive, and everything was great. And that was a big change for us. That I know that 9/11 is coming right now, but the sad part about the 9/11 is here after 20 years that American soldier came in Afghanistan. They came all the way to put their chest as in front of the Taliban's bloods to save the Afghan people lives. American soldier, like 2,500, they lost their life in Afghanistan, and most of them are got with the PTSD over here. Dozens of Afghan people lost their lives with their special forces or armies. And unfortunately, now what we are near by the 9/11, we're thinking that we are going back again the same way we were before.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing to imagine, and separating like the politics of it and all of that. But just we want to tell the story of how it is affecting real life people there. And when America decided to pull out, and I don't know if anybody knew that Taliban was going to take over the capital in one day or night or anything like that, but take me through what you're going through yourself and what you've been through, from having the Taliban there when you were younger to being a refugee, helping the American military, becoming a refugee, coming here, having family there. They're living a better life, and then all of a sudden America decides to pull out, and now this stuff starts happening where it starts falling apart. Take me through what possibly you could be going through and all the emotions of what's happening.
Yeah, Nick, by the time we heard that the United States had a peace deal with Taliban in Doha, Qatar, and everybody got scared. It was not only me, it was the dozens of people that were in Afghanistan, especially the Afghan peoples over there. Because most are like out of 100, if we calculated, like 85% of the Afghanistan supports the president of United States to be there. Because of their presence in Afghanistan, we had the democracy, which we never had it before. We had the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of everything we had over there, which we never had before. And everybody were happy with that. Especially it was a great achievement for the women of Afghanistan, the Afghans women who never had a chance to speak out, the women that they never had a chance to go to school or do anything much better during the time of Taliban. And everybody got scared. If you go through the social medias, like you can see most of the Afghan people from the time that the United States they were talking that the United States want to withdraw from Afghanistan. Everybody was scared. And nobody was expecting that the Taliban going to take Afghanistan so quickly. That was not a question for that everybody was not ready that we're going to go back to the same stage that we were before.
And just to jump in real quick, was that a shock because people were expecting the United States to stay there longer for a transition, or that had no idea that the Taliban had that much power built up to take over again, or that the Afghan military would present a stronger fight against them? Like, why do you think that was all going on?
No, the people was like thinking that there could be a way that the United States make the Taliban at least responsible, or make them accountable that they should not going through the same way that they were before. We thought that at least because of the sacrifices that Afghan people in the United States Army made in Afghanistan, and we spent billions of dollars over there from the United States taxpayers over there, we were not ready that we're going to go back to the same stage that we were before. We thought at least there could be something the United States can make the Taliban accountable, that they should not doing the same thing that they were doing before. And unfortunately, as we can see right now, Nick, and if you see the situation in Afghanistan, believe me, anybody, if they're going to watch the news, I'm sure the American peoples over here, even they don't have a healthy mind right now, because it's going to affect everybody over here. The news are horrible, and crowd that you're going to see in Kabul airports and Kabul cities and every city of Afghanistan, that it's horrible. It's horrible, and it's unfortunate what's going on through. But we, at least the only thing we can hope, the only thing we can stay and pray for the Afghanistan, and we can do that. The only thing we can do right now. It's the hope we're gonna have, and nothing else.
Take me through. Let's just start with the military side of it. You help the American military. There's a lot of conversations and videos and things going on about, well, now the Taliban has all of our weapons and the military things and trucks or whatever, all the things we left behind there. What is your take on that and how that is all played out?
The only things that really scared me about the Taliban, they got hand on it. The only things that I really concerned about it, it's not the weapons that they are having right now. I know it's dangerous. That should be the hand of the Taliban. It should not be. The only thing that really matters to me, that they got the database which the United States were using, taking the people's pictures for their biometrics. That things when the hand of Taliban, the Taliban can recognize anybody who works for the US, anybody who helped the United States, anyone who work with them as a logistic, brings food, water, supplies for the United States, any drivers who supports the United States Army, bring fuels for their bases. All those databases got in the hand of Taliban. Though I think I am not sure what the name of that device is. It's like a camera that you can put in front of everybody's face. It recognizes by your eyes on it, and it recognizes your whole database. They were using that in Afghanistan for a long time, and I saw the news like 2 days ago. It get the hand of Taliban, and that's the things that scares everybody.
Is that they can go around identifying
people,
so they might not have like this exact list, or maybe they do have some names, but they can now match pictures and faces and threaten people and like, hey, we need to find this person. And it's hard to ask, but what do the Taliban usually do when they find people that they feel are against them or that have?
It's for them. It's so easy. They're gonna take them to the prison. Right now, they are a little bit updated than previous. Before, they were just shooting people in the head in front of everybody, but right now they are not assassinating people just in front of the public. They are doing in their own ways, taking somewhere else and shot them on the head. That's how they're doing. Right now, I had a message from my friend that he was trying to come to the United States. He worked with the United States Army, and this is the checkpoint outside the Kabul airport is right now controlling by Taliban. There is 4 checkpoints that Taliban checks everybody's paperwork. If you are having a American passport, you're good to go. Like if you have the paper, it says like SIV, that the one you are working with American, they take those guys directly from those checkpoints and not let them go through the airport. And those are like the horrible and the horrified things that we can see.
What are some of the things that the Afghans have on their paperwork that is really going to go against them if they're trying to get out? Do people have to identify their tribe, their religious beliefs, their affiliations if they help the U.S. Army? Like what kind of things are on there that are really dangerous to have?
Yeah, those are the paperwork next. If you have a SIV visa on your passport, it says SIV means Special Immigration Visa, and Special Immigration Visa is recognized only for the Afghan who works with the American, for the Iraqis who work with the American in Iraq. Those program is just called SIV. In those SIV papers, in the visa is different like the other visa. It says like special immigration visa. Of course, the one who has the passport, if you are from minority groups in Afghanistan, if you are belonging to those minor community people in Afghanistan, they affect too. Taliban don't like the minority, especially if you are believing in different sects and different. If you are, let me make it clear, if you are not believing in Sunni Islamic religion in Afghanistan, according to the Taliban, you are not a Muslim. Mm-hmm. You have to be what they want to be. Mm-hmm. There is no freedom of religion under the Taliban's government at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any family or friends that, because they enforce Sharia law, right?
Mm-hmm. Sharia
law. And have you had any of your friends or people you've worked with or family, anybody have things done to them unjustly because of Sharia law over there when the Taliban has been in charge?
Yeah, it's not, I don't want to go on the back. I'm just giving you the 2 days ago, my friend's his sister was walking on the street of Puli Surkh. It's nearby Dashti Barchi in Kabul, Afghanistan, nearby Kote Sangi, because she had a sandal and her feet was coming out of that sandal, like it was not fully covered with the socks and stuff. And she got beaten by those chains 10 times by the Taliban commander over there, that you are not following the Sharia. Like the women's first, when the women are coming out of their house, according to the Taliban, there should be a man with her, no matter what. And second, you have to have the full hijab, that nobody even can see your eyes, nose, your hand, and your feet. If you are just crossing one of them or not obeying one of them, according to them, you need to be punished by the Sharia, that they have it for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think personally that's one of the hardest things for me is the women and the little girls, what's going to be happening in their lives. And, our country's trying to come make big strides in how we take care of females and minorities and really start conversations about that and do some things. And now because of what's happening in Afghanistan, like to see what's happening to minorities there and especially females, it's really hard to watch and hear. And I don't think people really even have a full understanding of like what life is going to be like for them based on what the Taliban was like before, whether they promised certain things or not. And I know you've mentioned a little bit about it, but just the hardships for females in Afghanistan under the Taliban and what little freedoms they do have and fear they have to live in.
It's not the one part. The other part is here, Nick, that if you go to the news, they figured out like the Taliban sent a letter to every villages, every city, every community, that the women's whom their husband was working with the Afghan governments, with like such as if their husband was a military guy or a police guy, that they got killed they got killed. It means the widow women, now they are the property of Taliban. Taliban need to take them under their nikah, which they call it, like to get married with all the Taliban soldiers. Like each Taliban soldier need to find one of those Afghan army's women who don't have a husband right now, and their husband or God died, or they are not living with them anymore. Their daughters and their wives are the property of Taliban, and the Taliban soldier need to get married with one of them. And they made lots of huge lists from every community and figured out how many women are widow in these villages, how many girls are widow in these villages, and we need to provide them with our soldier to get married with them. And this is another horrible things that we are hearing right now, and it's happening. It's happening in Yakaulang, which is the north side, which is nearby the Bamiyan capital. It happened there. There's news about it, and if you can check the the human rights webpage, it's saying over there, and they are doing so many things with the minorities, especially the women. They are in the horrible situation right now.
It's hard to hear. It's hard to see, and so take us through just your personal side of it with family and friends and where you're at right now, because you said you have family over there. America's pulling out. People are trying to get to the airport. They're trying to be safe, and you've got family over there. That's part of the reason we got connected again, is, you know, we're trying to, on your behalf with our government too, you know, friends of yours here is like trying to help you in whatever ways we can, find whatever path there is to get your family and friends and whoever those are to safety, and explain to us that personal side and what's going on with you in that process right now.
Nick, it's true. Yeah, I'm so grateful of my friends and communities over here in the United States that the day Kabul collapse, Afghan government collapse, I'm receiving a lots of messages, calls that everybody is saying that they're going to keep us on our prayer. They're going to keep us, the country, in their prayers. I'm so grateful of them. But unfortunately, still, right now that I'm talking to you, and my brother and his wife is nowhere to be found in Helmand province. And when they took the Helmands like 2 weeks ago, everybody fled their homes, and it's uncertain. The business that we had it over there, small shops got burned. I can provide you with the pictures that I have. And my niece and nephews, they fled home and they came to Kabul, to capital, to get shelters over there. Now they are living with their friends over there to seek shelters for a while. It's a hard time for me. Believe me, in couple today that I'm talking to you is I'm getting a little bit better. Like last week, even we didn't had there was no mood to eat food at home. And for the whole night we were sitting in front of the TV watching the news, and everybody were crying in our house. Even my wife, me, every parts of the family. It's sad. Like you are building the things and you are losing all of them, and just blinking your eyes and you see everything is gone. Mm-hmm. And my family over there, their life is uncertain, and I don't know what's going to happen to them. And I wish Taliban could differentiate between the personal actions with the whole joint family actions, which is our hope. But no, it's not happening, because we saw them before. It's not the new Taliban. It's just not the new version of the Taliban that we can expect, that this Taliban is the updated Taliban and they are 2021 and the one they were 20 years ago, or 2000. There is no difference between them because their beliefs are the same. Mm-hmm. Those Taliban who are killing the people like at the hospital, who they are attacking the minority children, the women, they are having labors right now. They are attacking them. They are killing people on the streets. They are just beating the women, throwing a stone on the women over their own corpse. And there is no difference between those Taliban and the Taliban is now. They are the same Taliban, mm-hmm. The same beliefs, the same ideology, the same Taliban that we knew before. They are coming in the power mm-hmm. right now again.
Yeah. And do you fear your family's safety over there? Is it primarily because you helped the U.S. military, or is it because they also had affiliations outside of you with helping, or is it primarily just the relationship to you that concerns you the most of their safety?
The primary is the concern is that I work with the United States and we were living in the same house. Mm-hmm. According to Taliban, they are the parts of this story. And the second thing, my family is from the minority community. Mm-hmm. They are not the Sunni sects. They are linked to Shia and they are linked to the different castes. Mm-hmm. When you are Shia with the different beliefs from the minority groups, that's the other thing the Taliban always take under consideration. And the second thing, if you are belong to that community and your family work with the United States, mm-hmm. that's going to be the worst.
Yeah. What is I know your ultimate hope is for their safety, for them to have amazing lives, but just in the intermediate, are you hoping that they are able to get their way to the airport and be evacuated as refugees somewhere? Are you hoping they just go somewhere else in the country where Taliban won't find them? Like, what is your best case scenario for finding them, not only alive, obviously, but just what can happen to them so that they can be safe permanently?
My hope is that if there is a way that they can go to the third country, that would be the second country. Or the third country, that would be the great, because in Afghanistan you cannot find any states or any cities or any province the Taliban don't have take them over. The only right now the only province which is not under the Taliban government is called Panjshir. That's the only one has remained, because the first the vice president of Afghanistan, he fled the capital, went over there, and he have some forces with him, with the other guys called Ahmad Massoud. They are living in that province. But there is no place in Afghanistan that you can go and be safe. Even the Americans people or the American allies are not safe in Kabul right now. Most of the interpreters who work with the United States, they cannot come to the airport, because the airport is a checkpoint, and checkpoint is belong to Taliban. And they check every paperwork first, and then they're going to send them through that you can go to make your way to the airport. My concern is if I can make a way, if they need to be evacuated to go to the third country, would be the great thing that I can hope right now.
Wow. And what are you currently doing? You don't have to give every little example of stuff, but like what are you able to do right now from America that other people can even speak into, or call their senators or whatever and say, if they know someone like you, like what is the process you're finding that, because it's all messy right now. Everyone's like, hey, try this, and stuff's constantly changing. But what are you doing right now that is getting any kind of traction for helping your family at all?
The only thing is, the only request I have, if my fellow Americans, if they know in their communities that there is an interpreter or translator and their family needs help with them, if they can help them in their behalves, they can reach out to the senators or congressmen and congresswomen, anybody that they know that they have a elected official, they can help that make their way through to the USCIS or US Department of State, that they can put their names on the list of evacuation. And that's the only thing they could do. But me personally, my friends over here, my fellow friends and community, they reach out on behalf of me to the senator's office, to the congressman's office. That's the only hope right now. And as you said, it's a situation that everybody says do this, do that. But for me, if anybody is telling me that there is a hope, I always go and touch it. If any emails came through, I always follow up with that. If I knew any small lights from coming through a small window, I always going to touch it. When you are in need of help, you're always trying to do whatever you can do. That's it.
Did you have any desire or hope to ever go back to Afghanistan one day?
Nick, right now, nobody can go to Afghanistan.
Well, not now. I mean, if this stuff didn't happen, did you have dreams of maybe visiting your country again?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, I had visit to see my father. I need to see my family, because my whole family was over there. And believe me, if I had a chance, I would stay in Afghanistan. If tomorrow the United States decide that they're going to back to Afghanistan, they're going to fight against those guys, I always going to be the first guy who's going to be in the front of the line to put my vest and put my body armor and put my helmet and even take my weapons and go with them. That's the work which we did. I am proud of it. I'm always going to be proud of it. I never did anything that without my wish to be forced to do it. I did it. I find our way to go, which way we need to go. That was our personal decision. That's not only me, the 18,000 people that they are left behind in Afghanistan. They are the same. They are the same, like me. They're the same thing we do it.
Yeah. Do you feel the Afghan army, the Americans and other allies were trying to build up the Afghan army and military so that they could defend their own country? And there's been a lot of conversation that they just put down their weapons, some of them, and left and just gave it over too easily, and like they didn't care or something like that. Do you have views or opinions on the quickness of how the Taliban took over and what the response or the view is of Afghanistan, like the people can take care of their own country from the Taliban? Because I think it's so much more complicated than we try to make it here in America.
Yeah, for sure, Nick. The first thing, Afghanistan had a great army. I do believe it on it. They had a best place in Afghanistan. I knew that they can fight against Taliban. But what happened when the peace deal went through in Doha, like Afghan government, they released 5,000 of the prisoners which we were under the Afghan government that were Taliban. They released 5,000 of the Taliban's prisoner which was in Afghanistan. That was the first parts of deal between the United States and Taliban, that they made a deal in Doha, Qatar. And the second thing, for almost a year, there was order for every Afghan military that they should not shot any single fire against the Taliban. They don't want to. They had order that they should not fight against the Taliban because the peace deal is going on. Both sides need to calm down and go through the peace, which Taliban did not follow that parts. And that thing that we saw on the news, that why the army does not fight against the Taliban. And the army was, when you were like the commander-in-chief is running away from the country, when the commander of the chief is taking $116 million with him, fled the country going to the UAE. And when your commander-in-chief are not paying attention about your country and your military, what the soldier can do then? And soldier, how long they gonna fight? Because every fight needs logistics. Every fight needs food, waters to be supplied by the Air Force. But every battle, if you can see the video of 22 commandos which they got surrounded by Taliban, and they're coming out peacefully, and they were all ready to surrender, but Taliban start shooting him on the head, every one of them. And that's the problem. When the whole problem in our country was our commander-in-chief, which was the president, that he fled the country, and he were the one who was supposed to supply logistics to all the militaries that they can fight against the Taliban. But unfortunately, none of them happened. Even the Kabul, there was no Taliban in Kabul. There was no Taliban nearby Kabul. The president left the country and went away. These are sad.
Incredible. It's
so sad, but they are the facts.
Yeah.
They are the facts. We are sad and we are desperate, but it's the reality.
Yeah.
That most of those, like Ghazni province, which was the governor by the name of Dawood Lagmani, he just sold the whole capital to the Taliban, the whole province to the Taliban, and he ran away from the country.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we had, the corruptions in our government at the highest level. And the commander-in-chief, he was the symbol of the corruption, that he left the country without any fight and without any war.
Yeah.
Like every commander-in-chief, when they become under oath, they need to defend the country. Nobody says that you, in the bad days of the country, you need to run away. In the good days of the country, just make money and live a better life.
Yeah. Well, I've got just a couple more questions for you. And one is, you mentioned that's the reality of what's happened, what's going on. And there's also a reality for you personally of how do you navigate all these feelings, the mental, the emotional, I'm sure even the spiritual, the physical stress that you're feeling over the past week. And it's not going to go away. It might lessen a little bit maybe over time, but stuff isn't going to be like fixed quickly. And, worrying about family and country and everything going on, like how are you either currently, or how are you going to take care of yourself in that emotional, mental state of the things you're going through? Because it can be so, you have a job, you have a family, like how is Abdul personally handling it, and what you need to do to kind of handle it so that it doesn't overtake your whole life, right now?
Yeah, Nick, it's a great question, but unfortunately, it's the only idea I have is going to be time going to be the medicines, or for every pain that you have, by the time the time pass away, you need to just take that time under consideration. But unfortunately, it's so hard to get away from this stuff because you have the social medias, you have the TVs, and if you don't want to watch them, if you want to delete all your application on your cell phone, but still you're mentally in Afghanistan, and you're thinking about what's going on. And even my like my niece is in Kabul right now. They don't have money to spend over there. I cannot send them money because the Western Union just shut down their service over there, and the banks are not giving the people's money. And it's like every day. It's not about my life. I do agree. I have a life here. I do agree. I have kids here, and I need to take care of them and just continue with this, what's happening. But unfortunately, I couldn't find the solution yet. How should I go through this? It's, every time I try to do not watch and do not listen, and I'm going to get a lots of messages. You need to go and watch it and see what's going on.
Yeah. So my last question is, when we end the podcast, is what can someone do, especially for someone that is in your situation right now, whether they're a friend or they're just somebody that's going to listen to this and like, man, how could I help Abdul or somebody like him in what he's going through and what he's trying to do with his family and what he's currently facing right now? What is simple things that people can do to help enter your situation right now that would be helpful?
The first thing anybody if listening to us or watching us, if you guys can pray and keep your Afghan peoples on the one who are in the high risk right now, just keep them in your prayers. And the second thing, you guys are the wise, you guys know the human rights, you guys know the women rights, and you guys know everything what's going on in Afghanistan right now. You can watch it and you can see it. If you guys can reach to your officials, or at least somebody need help, any translator in your community, help them to bring their families, help them to bring their kids, wives, anybody left in Afghanistan, bring peacefully here, because they were our allies. They were the one who worked shoulder by shoulder with the United States Army over there, and they are the one who getting hurt mostly so badly from the Taliban sides, because all troops can came home peacefully here, but they are the one who are on the ground, and they are the one that if we left them behind, it's going to be so bad for us. And my request is humbly from all the people that can hear my voices here, if you guys have any interpreter in your community, help them to bring their families in your community. Keep them on your prayers, and ask around from your family and friends if they have somebody in the elected officials to make things better for them, that bring those 18,000 interpreters that they left behind in Afghanistan right now.
Yeah, that's good. And I do have one last question. Sorry, I just thought of one before we're ending. And do you, and I don't want this to sound like a harsh thing, do you feel somewhat confused or betrayed by America's decision and how they pulled out? And I know you love America, so I'm not asking, like, I know how much you love our country and our military and what they've done, but just the decision and how things are going on, do you feel like we didn't do right by the Afghan people that we were supporting, especially those that were helping us while we were there? Is that a difficult tension to manage right now, and how you feel about the whole situation? Or like, just help me understand like that feeling about how you view America and what is going on right now.
Nick, personally, I really don't know about like how the politics works and how the politician make a decision. I don't know about that parts. The only parts I knew, if before we coming out of Afghanistan, that we can bring our allies first, then we can withdraw totally from Afghanistan. That was a great option for me. That right now we have inside the Kabul airport under our control, and outside is the hand of Taliban. And now getting from Kabul cities into the airport to get the flight is as much hard and impossible that you can make your way from Afghanistan all the way to America. Going 5 kilometers from Kabul to get inside the airport is that much hard and that much difficult that you couldn't believe. You can see the horrible video outside of the crowd outside of the Kabul airport. Dozens of people are waiting over there to make their way through. I wish we never gonna saw that picture that we are seeing right now.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Thank
for
you,
taking the time to share. It's not an easy thing, and I know we had some conversation about whether to to share it or not. And, you know, our hope is we just want to give people a voice. And it's really easy to get caught up in social media and the news because of the politics is so wild here in America. It's like, oh, nope, just believe this side, believe this, and everybody's telling you this. And I personally love getting firsthand testimony in what somebody has gone through, they're going through, that is personally involved in it. And, you know, your willingness to just come in here and share that when it's still very raw. It's not like we're 3 months down the line and your family's safe and we're talking about it. It's very raw right now. And also the fact that you wanted to share and speak up for people like you that have so much invested in both countries and care about those that are left behind right now, family and other soldiers. And I just thank you very much. I appreciate your friendship too. You're a great friend and love hanging out with you. And we're praying desperately for you and your family and trying to do other things outside of that too. And yeah, it's hard to see what's going on, and especially when it affects you because you have a friend that's going through it. And I just love you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having me and giving me a chance to speak up. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's been neglected, and appreciate Abdul being here, and y'all have a great day. Peace.